Hi everyone, it's evening again, and like any other day, I'm gearing up to start my shift as a ride-hailing driver. As the city lights flicker on, most people are heading home for dinner. My wife and I usually try to share a meal before I head out. Our small room is a bit cluttered. With our hectic schedules, there's rarely a spare moment to keep everything tidy. Our dinners are simple. On those extra busy days, we just grab a quick bite at a roadside stall. Tonight, it's just some fish cakes from the local market. I've also prepped 2 hard-boiled eggs and a carton of milk to take with me, my survival rations for a late-night snack. After a quick cup of coffee to sharpen my focus, I say goodbye to my wife and head to the garage. Unlike in many developed countries, homes in Vietnam are often tucked away in deep, narrow alleys. My alley is barely 2 meters wide, making it impossible to bring a car inside. Like most car owners here, I have 2 choices: park on the street or rent a spot. I went with the second option for peace of mind. It's a common reality for drivers in the city. I've arrived at the parking lot. Now it's time for the pre-shift routine. I open the driver app and go through the facial recognition step, a daily ritual to verify my identity and ensure everything is by the book for the passengers. Everything is set. Now I'm heading to my favorite stakeout spot near a local supermarket to wait for my first fare of the night.
I had just started the engine and was heading to my usual spot when the app chirped, my first ride of the night. The pickup was at a nearby bus station. I quickly hopped on the phone to confirm. In this line of work, you sometimes end up waiting forever because people book while they're still on the long-distance bus. Luckily, this one was booked by a friend, and the passenger was already there waiting when I pulled up. Looking at the bumper-to-bumper traffic, I couldn't help but sigh. In Vietnam lately, the number of cars has skyrocketed, and the motorcycles are still packed in like sardines. No matter how much they widen the roads, they just can't keep up with the sheer volume of vehicles. I remember 10 or 15 years ago, gridlock was just a rush hour thing. Now, it's just a fact of life, day or night. My passenger was in a huge rush to get to a party. Over the phone, I could hear the clinking of glasses and people cheering. The party was clearly in full swing. A woman on the other end kept nagging him, her voice dripping with impatience. "Why is the car so slow? Aren't you here yet?" What they don't realize is that covering 6 kilometers in this mixed traffic is a real feat. Being a rideshare driver here is tough. It's nothing like the orderly streets you see abroad. Here, you have to keep your eyes peeled for everything. Cars, bikes, scooters. You get these heart attack moments where a motorcycle just cuts you off out of nowhere, like traffic laws don't even exist. If you're a foreigner driving here for the first time, I guarantee you just give up trying to handle the chaos. Finally, I got the passenger there in one piece. After a stressful 6-kilometer trek, I cleared about $2. It's a modest amount for that much focus and patience, but hey, it's just the start of a long night on the grind. After cruising around the busy streets for a while, the app pinged again. This time, I picked up a special pair on a crowded corner, an elderly lady nearly in her 80s and her daughter. They were headed to a suburb on the outskirts, about 5 kilometers out. Even though her eyes were clouded by age, she was sharp as a tack. She chatted with me the whole way. Just by feeling the rhythm of the car and the air, she could tell exactly which street we were on, even if she couldn't see the road clearly. Listening to her gentle voice, the city's chaos outside seemed to fade into the background. But that moment of peace was shattered the second we hit the bridge leading to the outskirts. Right in the middle of the bridge, some guy on a motorcycle just pulled a U-turn without a care in the world. Even though we're already into 2026, these do-whatever-I-want moves are still a constant nightmare for us drivers in Vietnam. The government has seriously cracked down, with massive fines. Some tickets can cost you a whole year's salary, but that reckless habit is hard to break. One careless move from a bike ignoring the rules, and everything could go south in a heartbeat. I gripped the wheel a little tighter, thankful I reacted in time to keep my 2 passengers safe. It's 9:11 p.m. I just dropped them off safe and sound. My second ride of the night, 5.5 kilometers and about $1.70 in the pocket. It's not much, but the old lady's smile made it feel worth it. Now it's time to head back out and merge into the city lights again. While I was weaving through the streets waiting for the next ride, my phone buzzed. It was my neighborhood block leader. In Vietnam, these folks aren't some distant government officials. They're more like dedicated local volunteers who keep the community tight. She was calling to remind me to swing by and pick up my voter ID for the upcoming National Assembly elections this Sunday. It hit me right then. It's probably been over 10 years since I last felt this kind of buzz about heading to the polls. Before I could even finish that thought, the app pinged.
This time, it was 3 passengers waiting in a narrow side street with one massive suitcase. Looking at my compact car and its tiny trunk, I let out a quiet sigh. This was going to be a real puzzle. After a lot of huffing and puffing and a few beads of sweat on my forehead, I finally managed to wedge that beast into the trunk. 2 of the 3 passengers were Chinese. Based on the tones, I'm pretty sure they were speaking Cantonese. Over the last couple of years, there's been a huge wave of Chinese people moving here for work. In my city, entire blocks are now lined with Chinese restaurants catering just to them. Their presence has really become a new part of the city's pulse. I wrapped up that third trip at 9:32 p.m., just a short 2.8-kilometer hop, which netted me another $1.07. It's not a lot of money, but every ride is a different story, a little window into how the world around me is changing.
As soon as I dropped off my last passenger, the app pinged again for a pickup nearby. This time, the trip was taking me out to the outskirts of the city. The destination on my screen was a village communal house. My guess is the passenger couldn't find an exact address, so they just picked this landmark. To be honest, the built-in maps in these rideshare apps aren't nearly as detailed as Google Maps. I've actually got a little pro tip for situations like this. I grab the exact coordinates from Google Maps and paste them directly into the driver app. It's a lifesaver for those remote areas without clear house numbers, but it seems like hardly anyone knows about it. I hit the gas and cruised down a smooth, paved road that only popped up maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Watching the streetlights flash by, I couldn't help but remember when this road was still under construction. It used to be my favorite spot for a morning jog. My city has gone through a massive makeover in the last decade, with tons of money poured into the roads and infrastructure. Before that, things changed at a snail's pace. It was nothing like the hustle and bustle we see today. For someone like me who lives behind the wheel, you can really feel that progress with every turn of the tires. Over on the left, there it was, the village communal house. In Vietnamese culture, these dinh aren't just buildings with traditional architecture. They're the soul of the community, a place where people have placed their spiritual faith for generations. This one dates back to the late 18th century. We're talking nearly 300 years of history. It's a shrine to a legendary general, and standing in front of something that ancient, you really start to feel how small you are in the grand scheme of things. The clock hit 9:52 p.m. as my passenger stepped out. That's ride number 4 in the books, an 8-kilometer trek that put $2.54 in my pocket. It was more than just a trip across town. It felt like a trip through time.
While I was still weighing my options on which way to turn, my phone lit up with ride number 5. I had to head about 2.4 kilometers out just to reach the pickup. The passenger was headed to the Pullman, a brand new, top-tier, 5-star hotel right in the heart of the city. It's a real hotspot for the high-end crowd, from sophisticated international travelers to local pros attending big conferences. After weaving through traffic for about 10 minutes, I finally linked up with them. It was a group of 3 just coming from a dinner party. You could still catch a hint of a buzz in their voices from the lively conversation they were having in the back seat. From their talk, I gathered they were employees at a multinational corporation. Right then, I felt a wave of nostalgia. Memories of my years working for foreign firms started playing back in my head like an old movie. Back in those days, before the weight of family responsibilities, I spent my youth on the road, obsessed with building sales networks from one province to the next. I've got to admit, the multinational world offers a dream salary, even if the pressure can be suffocating at times. But for me, doing sales for them felt easier than at local companies. That ease wasn't about having less work, it was about the professionalism. They had endless resources, polished products, and a crystal clear system. Everyone was a precision gear in a machine, no messy overlaps or trying to wear too many hats at once. I pulled up to the Pullman lobby at 10:20 p.m. After a 7-kilometer trek, I cleared about $2.58.
Leaving the glowing lights of the Pullman behind, I drifted back toward the city center. I didn't have to wait long before my phone lit up with ride number 6. You're probably wondering, man, do you just take every single ride that comes your way? The truth is, right after the Lunar New Year, Tet, the rideshare market hits a major dead zone. It's easily the slowest time of the year. Plus, I don't live in a massive, bustling hub like Hanoi or Saigon, so passengers aren't exactly lining up. Every ping from the app feels like a win right now, and I'm not about to let any of them slide. The pickup was right on the main drag, and the destination was a karaoke bar. In Vietnam, karaoke isn't just a hobby, it's the heart and soul of the party. Whether it's a holiday, a birthday, or just a random get-together, the night almost always ends in a room full of neon lights and music. The funny thing is, it doesn't matter if you can actually sing or not. Once you're in that room, you're expected to grab the mic for at least one song. People here love singing so much that they'll set up giant speakers or home systems and just belt it out from morning till night. Every now and then, I end up being an unwilling audience member to my neighbor's never-ending live shows. It's one of those only in Vietnam experiences that's both hilarious and a bit much at the same time. At exactly 10:41 p.m., I dropped them off at the front door, a short 2.3-kilometer trip that netted me $1.47. The thumping bass echoing from the bar felt like the closing track for my sixth ride, leaving me in the quiet of my cabin to wait for the next beat of the city.
About 7 minutes after dropping off my last group, the app pinged again. The pickup was less than 500 meters from where I was parked. When I pulled up, I found a family looking pretty anxious next to their car. It looked like their ride had given up on them in the middle of the night. The dad walked over, hoping I had some jumper cables to help get them started, but unfortunately, I didn't have any on me. They ended up having to call for roadside assistance. In this city, getting a tow or a mechanic is a breeze during the day, but at this hour, it's a real test of patience. I wished him luck and started the trip to get his wife and kids home safe. As we rolled through a familiar intersection, I noticed a billboard on the right that the city just updated. In Vietnam, these bright red banners and slogans are a staple of the landscape. They're like a North Star, keeping everyone focused on the country's collective goals. The sign was a big one: accelerate industrialization and modernization with science, technology, innovation, and digital transformation as the primary drivers. This is the heart of the next 5-year plan. As a tech-driven driver, I can feel this digital wave more than anyone. It's creeping into every corner of life and changing how people move and connect. If you're curious about how digital society is playing out in Vietnam, drop a comment below. I'd love to do a deep dive into that in a future video. The clock struck up 11 p.m. on the dot as I dropped the family off. That 2.5-kilometer trip put another $1.64 in my pocket.
My shift is finally winding down, so I'm heading over to my usual charging station. Even though I'm wiped, I kept the app open, hoping to snag one last cherry on top to finish the night strong. Someone booked a ride from the supermarket, but I stood there waiting in the dark and they never showed. I called and called, but it just kept ringing. Nothing but dead air. In this business, ghost rides or last-minute cancellations are like a cold shower for a driver's morale. There are times you drive 3 or 4 kilometers to a pickup just to end up turning around empty-handed. It's frustrating, sure, but after a while you get used to it. It's just part of the game you have to accept to keep this hustle going. The charging station is as busy as ever. This is the time of night when all the rideshare guys start rolling in to juice up their cars. I got pretty lucky tonight and found an open stall. Otherwise, I would have had to trek another few kilometers to find a spot. That 30 to 60 minutes while the battery tops off is actually my favorite me time of the day. I always keep a book in the car. To be honest, back in my school days, I wasn't much of a reader, except for Sherlock Holmes. I read that series so many times I basically know it by heart. But once I got out into the real world, I realized that reading is the absolute cheapest and fastest way to level up and learn new skills for the future. Cracking open a book in the cabin under the dim streetlights, it just makes the exhaustion of a long day melt away. It's 12:27 a.m. The car is fully charged, and I'm officially ready to head home. This video has run a bit long, so I'm going to wrap things up here. Thanks for hanging out with me through every street corner and every story tonight. Catch you guys in the next one.